Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. So as always, we'll start on time so that we can use the most of the time available. Thank you all once again. Many of you have been on the call on the series for the past couple of days. Today is day 3. Very nice to see all of you back again and on time, which is a great sign as well. Um, and As you all know, or at least those of you who have been there for the first couple of days, we had a wonderful beginning to the 16th annual conference of Stars Forum. We had Dr. Ganesh Kamath and Dr. Prasad Modak, who gave us a very high level introductory uh, talk on what is bioeconomy and then what is circularity, what are things like green economy, circular economy, etc. And that gave the sense that okay, because there's a lot of different ways people understand these terms. So we said let's use the first day to get clarity on these key terms that we're talking about. That was on day 1, and then the second day, yesterday, we had 3 speakers, uh, two, two who are product designers, people who had developed solutions for urban waste management. So we had Ravindra Karnar from Bengaluru, who had developed composting systems for large residential colonies. And he spoke about what goes into designing of such a system for an urban consumer, urban customer. What are some of the challenges involved? What are some of the opportunities in skilling or employment? And what are the challenges in basically scaling up such a system that is so vital in today's times? Then we had Priyadarshan Sahasrabudhe from Pune, who has developed several solutions, small and large, to use food waste, human waste for generating biogas. And he talked about what are the ways in which they have developed those solutions and who are typically using them, and what are the kind of expectations people have from such solutions and so on. So we had that. Finally, we had Dr. Mansi Tripathi, who's from the International Water Management Institute. And the reason we invited her was that this conference is also partly supported by, as knowledge partners, by the International Water Management Institute and also BIF Pune. And International Water Management Institute and BIF have set up what is called a Circular Bioeconomy Innovation Hub, which is actually housed in Pune BIF campus. And the intention of that hub is to actually support entrepreneurs, innovators, early stage innovators, and create an ecosystem of support for such innovators in specifically focused on circular bioeconomy. So we started out with 2 entrepreneurs, and then we ended up with somebody talking about the ecosystem that is coming up to support such entrepreneurs now. Today, we are going to take a very different view of the circular bioeconomy. We are going to look at what happens when you want to work at a community level at a large scale. What happens when you want to make such changes or such effective action take place at a city, town level, and so on, where there are tens and thousands and sometimes lakhs of people involved, and actions that make a difference to the lives of people living in such towns and cities. So we've invited two people, actually 3 people, to talk about some of their work. First is Manish Sheth from Pune. She's going to talk about a range of issues that she's working on. And after her, we've got 2 people coming in from a town not far from Pune, about a few 40-50 kilometers from Pune, called Rajgurunagar. This town is one of the places where it's a town of around 25,000 population, and at least that is a number from the last census of 2011, where a large part of the wet waste that is collected in the town is processed using the black soldier fly technology is. So we have somebody from the municipal council and the entrepreneur who's actually introduced this technology. So we're going to talk about them. And finally, we have Mr. Ramasubramanian joining in from Chennai, who's going to speak about a range of issues related to green skilling, green entrepreneurship, and so on. So I'll give a more detailed introduction as we go forward. Uh, but before doing that, let me also tell you a little bit about what is Stars Forum and how all of you can be part of this. Stars Forum was set up about 15 years ago. 2009, 2010 was when it was first instituted as an informal group of people who are interested in learning from one another. This was focused, some of our founding members were Vignan Ashram from Pabal, Chinmay Organization for Rural Development from Himachal, and so on, and few such like-minded organizations who said that there is so much good work happening in different parts of India, and we don't necessarily know all of them. So why not create a peer network where we can bring people that we know and enable them to share their work on skilling of rural Indians, whether it is vocational education, technology development, how to improve the opportunities for rural entrepreneurs to succeed, and a range of things like that. And over the years, we've been doing this annual event once, typically in the first or the second week of December. And this is the 16th year that where we're doing this event. And our network is a network of individuals, NGOs, non-profits, academic institutions, social entrepreneurs, whether for-profit entrepreneurs and non-profit, doesn't matter. Anybody and everybody who's really focused on or interested in development of the people working in the rural economy, in the informal economy, in the unorganized economy of India. Um, we are a network, so therefore it's a request, and it's an invitation to anybody who in this call who is not connected yet with Stars Forum to join us as an affiliate. It is not a membership, typical membership sort of thing. It's a network of peers. We would love to have you as part of this network. And every year we get to know more and more new people across this country who are doing some wonderful work. So if any of you is interested to be part of our this network of affiliates, please reach out to me or to Bhakti, and we will include you in our affiliate and our communications and so on and so forth. The biggest value addition that has happened over the many years is our ability to connect people with one another. To give a simple example, yesterday we had the talk by Ravindra Karnad on composting, and then followed that with Priyadarshan Sahasrabudhe, who spoke about biogas. That very morning, I had found out about somebody in Bangalore, a technology person who had left his technology job and was starting something else, where he was trying to resolve the issue of disposable cutlery. I mean, restaurants that, Swiggy's and all those kind of, where restaurants where people eat, and then there is a lot of waste in the cutlery. And what he has set up is something that's not uncommon in this country, which is the cutlery banks or the Bartan banks. But the important service he has added is he has created small places where this steel cutlery can be quickly washed and returned back to the restaurants for reuse, which is a big thing. And I connected with him yesterday morning, and after after Priyadarshan's presentation on biogas, I wrote back to this person this morning and said, "Hey, have you considered, using biogas as an opportunity to, as part of washing of your plates and disposing of the food waste that you are collecting?" And he said, "Yeah, that looks like very interesting." So as we speak, probably they're already Pridarshan and Siddharth Munot in Bangalore are already talking. And similar kind of connections have happened simply because, a network of people who want to help one another, people who want to support one another, find out, learn, share, is this is what is Stars Forum really. So again, an open invitation to all of you, to whoever is not yet in the our network, to please join and be part of this growing network of some wonderful organizations across the country. So, with that introduction, let me invite our first speaker for today, Manisha Sheth. Manisha is based in Pune, and over the last 20 years, she's been involved in a range of initiatives. She's an environmentalist, activist, educator, a social entrepreneur herself, and worked on a range of causes related to the environment. And one of the things that was very successful in the just the recent few months ago was a campaign that she ran, which was called Punaravartan, and one of the biggest festivals in Pune is the Ganesh festival. Uh, and a lot of waste gets generated during the Ganesh festival. Some of it is the flower waste, the nirmale as it is called. And then the other big thing is the clay, that the murtis that are used. And she led this campaign, which is very successful, on how you can reclaim this clay and then upcycle it back. Um, this is just one of the many things that Manisha has worked upon and led over the past several years. And I thought this is a wonderful new thing for us all to understand, uh, primarily because this is something that requires change in mindset, change in approach of working with the local the governments, the municipal corporations, and with people, and creating the environment as the infrastructure to make it happen. So, with that short introduction, Manisha, over to you. Looking forward to hearing about not just Punaravartan, but the many interesting things that you have worked on over the last several years related to circularity. Over to you.
Thank you, Chaitanya, and namaste to all of you. I hope you can hear me well. I'll
Yeah.
just immediately share my screen. Uh, is that visible?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I'll start. I'll just dive into it right away. Next year, which is
Manisha,
in 20. Yeah.
Manisha, won't you start your video? It would be nice if we can see you at least a tiny
My
square in the
video is
corner.
on.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
signed in from two devices, so you can turn.
Okay.
You can. Yeah.
Okay,
We
okay,
can
fine.
see you, Manisha. Please proceed.
Yeah. Yeah. So we next year in 2026 we will be completing 20 years of work, and when I started in 2006, these terms did not exist: circular economy, bioeconomy, all of this. So in a sense, we kind of didn't have all these definitions to go by, but we by the work that we did on the ground, some things became quite evident, and so we have just been following our hearts and going in that direction. When I first started Ecoexist, I had already worked for 6 years in the NGO sector, and I did not want to go in that direction. So I started with a social enterprise, which is the Ecoexist Enterprises. However, the approach that we took involved so much of pro bono work or charitable work that much later in 2017, I then also started a not for profit, simply because the social enterprise framework is not very well defined even still in India today. So you have to have two vehicles to do the work if you want to sit in the middle and be a part of both. So we do have two organizations, and our it's the same team. It's just that the legal framework for the projects is different. What I'm more interested in, I will of course walk you through very briefly all the various and amazing projects that we were able to do. But what I'm very keen on is to be able to have a discussion with all of you, continuing the talks that happened yesterday and day before on approaches to this kind of work. I, even from the very beginning, was not really interested in the mainstream business model because I came from a family that spoke a lot about trusteeship, about sharing of resources, about being, context specific and community sensitive. So even though we use the framework of a business, the approach to business was not profit oriented. My mother always used to say that you need to think about creating surplus, not profit. So that was the basis on which I began. So for me, the difference between those two kind of frameworks didn't really matter. It was just because the work it's all been the same. Now, when we talk about circularity, you have to start by the mindset of the people you're addressing. And so a lot of our work has been in changing the mindset. And so for that, one has to really reflect on what are the thought processes, what are the belief systems, then, of course, the habits that people have inculcated and which maybe the advertising or the consumer industries have, kind of further aggravated, making sure that we are creating livelihoods while we go along. And then finally, when you scale it up, whether the entire industry can change. So these are the areas. And you will see that the work we've done is not limited because I felt that when I take up a problem, whether it's a problem of, let's say, toxic colors, or whether it's a problem of chemical Ganesh idols, I have to really understand the problem in all its aspects and then take responsibility for as much of that entire cycle as I can if I really want to solve the problem fully, right? So, because of that approach, we have ended up, participating in many steps along the entire cycle. So, as I said, working with consumers and doing a lot of consumer education, but also the way in which things are produced and looking at the entire supply chain, changing the markets. So, making sure that markets are created for these products that we are innovating on. And then, of course, looking at the laws. Laws were mentioned yesterday also. So, where does the law inhibit this kind of a change and where it can support it? And much of our work has also then addressed the waste management systems, the collection system. So, as you can see, it's a very wide range of things that we have been involved in. 20 years of material studies. So I'm an architect by training, and when I moved to Pune, I continued my studies in ecology. But I've always been fascinated by materials and the way materials themselves are designed, and then, of course, products that are designed from those materials. So I understood from the definitions of circular economy and bioeconomy that bioeconomy was looking more at, let's say, organic materials or living resources versus, let's say, circular economy that are looking at maybe non-renewable resources. So here I've just enlisted some of the materials that we have worked on, which include both. Because I, again, as I said, my interest has been to understand the material and figure out exactly where one can intervene to change the process. So we have also worked with many disprivileged, underprivileged communities because I never wanted to set up a factory somewhere, in the very mainstream kind of mode of production. So all the products that we innovated, we also matched it with the skill set or the particular context within which the producers were. So we have worked with women farmers, with rag pickers, with prisoners. We worked in the Yerabda prison for 5 years. We worked with people with disability, women self-help groups, of course, murtikars, artisans. And now, as Chaitanya was sharing, our networks have really increased to include NGOs and with municipal corporations. So, understanding the society within which we work and contextualizing our product and our work to that particular community with whom we are working. Now, one of the things that we kind of tend to miss at the very beginning of any project, I'm saying in general, is when we are trying to identify what is the need. And this needs identification, if it's based in just our assumptions, then it's quite possible that we will go wrong and only realize much later in our work that we had not appropriately identified the need. So needs identification is the first step. We work a lot, as I said, in collaborative solution finding. We are more interested in low tech because, again, if you're working in a community, the technologies that you use have to be appropriate to that community. So if you're working with a blind group, let's say, obviously you will have to look at technologies that are appropriate to that producer group. We enjoy and we choose rather to work with labor intensive processes because, of course, in a country like ours, the more labor intensive it is, the more likely that you can create livelihoods for more people. Now, the question of scale is something I hope that, Chaitanya, we can talk a lot more in all the discussions that we do, because mainstream business has this assumption that large scale is always better. And then because we are in a country like India, of course, everything has to be scalable. And if it's not scalable, then the investors are not interested, the funders are not interested. Now, this is something that I have kind of really examined, and I disagree with that mainstream assumption. So we are looking at creating small scale solutions that are context appropriate, but which can be easily replicated. And so my approach to scale has been more in that fractal kind of thinking. Uh, and also, since we are talking about the urban and the rural divide, so if you're saying circular economy is more urban oriented and bioeconomy is going to be more rural because that's where all the natural resources and the organic resources are. So the divide between consumption patterns in the urban sector, in the urban environment versus the rural environment has to really be understood if you're going to come up with a project that bridges that divide, right? Then we allow projects to be self-driven because we do not insist that we must have a marker of the kind of sales we want to achieve or the profit that we want to achieve. Rather, is the community that decides how much of that work they do. So if you're working with women and these are women who need to work from home because they're young mothers, they will choose how much they want to work and how much they want to earn. It's not up to us to insist that they do a certain amount of work in a day. We are also looking at creativity and handcraft and art also because we feel that beauty is a big part of any kind of successful venture. And nature is, of course, stunningly beautiful. So that becomes an important element. Further, as a business or as an organization, we really diversify. So we don't put all our eggs in one basket. We have many things going on parallelly. And so that personally, I think it's because I am by nature a person who needs many things going on simultaneously. But diversification gives us a strength that otherwise we may not have. For example, during COVID, we since we already had trained women to who were working with us on stitching cloth bags. Overnight, we switched from cloth bags to cloth masks, and within the first few months of COVID itself, we were able to do nearly 45 to 50,000 masks and continue to give them the livelihood that they needed, especially because many of their husbands had lost their jobs. So this is, in a way, I'm trying to outline 20 years of work, but these are some of the points that occurred to me. The other thing that the mainstream model, the measures of success, is that we have defined our own measures of success. The fact that we're still around after 20 years, we still have a relevance. To me, that's been the greatest success that I could have expected from this work. Solving a real environmental problem, long term relevance, like I said, replicability. So it's not just about me and my talent, my expression, my business, my profit, but creating something that people can easily replicate. And interestingly, people have copied us on various products, and every time we see that happening, we feel that's a mark of our success. We have, again, as I said, not focused on profit. We have been financially self sustained. We've never run into a loss. We've never had to take a loan. In 20 years of work, we've not taken a single loan. Um, and then, making sure our processes are socially integrative. And last of all, exiting. So we also don't want to create a dependence on us. So for every project, we look at, when is the appropriate time to let that work go on without us. And I'll show you examples of where we were able to do that. So these are my or our measures of success, in which, of course, financial independence is there, but not necessarily a lot of profit. So with this, I'll just walk you through. I hope I don't overwhelm you, but again, these are the years in which we started these projects. Most of them are still continuing. We are going to stop a couple of them soon now, because we feel it's not needed anymore. But I'll show you how. So, as I said, we work with several materials. And the first project we did was with the natural Holi colors. I love playing Holi, and people had stopped playing Holi because of the chemicals in them. So, we started with this. Of course, very simple to do using food ingredients. This work we took to a farmers group in Karnataka, the lady on the left. They are turmeric farmers, women farmers, who offered to make the colors from us. The colors are all based on turmeric. And this work over the years grew, and that particular farmers group, we within I think 8 years, they earned about 10 lakhs from us. We were able to help them to set up their own company with their own marketing thing, and then they stopped producing, and we shift the production to Pune. In Pune itself, we involved many different groups, and this is an image from the Yeravda prison, like I said, where they had sent out a request for semi-skilled labor projects, and we took our packaging to them. So this is wholly, of course, every project, every product always has some social benefit projects happening alongside. These are a group of blind girls. Over the years, we played Holi like multiple times every season with anybody who wanted to play Holi with us. Of course, the colors were offered as a gift from us. Now, the second project we took up was with Ganesh Chaturthi. Here, the problem was the plaster of Paris and trying to replace that with more eco-friendly materials. This project still continues. And we have looked at many different materials like cow dung, paper mache, coconut coir, red earth, and clay. And here we work with artisans, and I'm happy to say that we have actually seen the entire scenario change in front of us. We have also worked very closely with the Maharashtra Pollution Control Board and with Maji Vasundhara on this particular issue. And of course, the paints that go on those idols, which are highly toxic and are a problem in themselves. So, creating natural pigments that can be used with this. So, this was the second thing. Now, the related to the Ganesh festival was the Nirmalya. Now, in 2009, we were one of the first organizations to start collecting Nirmalya. This is an image from the Yeravda jail again, because we were working there constantly. So we used to take all the flowers from Pune city into the jail, which in itself was such an amazing experience for the prisoners. We would work with them and teach them how to dry them, segregate them, all of that. And this we did along with the Swachh Cooperative. So we also trained rag pickers to actually dry and convert this. After 5 years of running this project, along with Swachh, where we did all the fundraising for them, we helped them to set the entire project up. We handed it over to the Cummins Foundation to work with Swachh, and we exited from the project. And this is how it grew, because in 2010, they had collected 5 tons. And in 2023, this had reached to 150 tons of Nirmalya that's being collected by Swachh. They send this for composting, and I think currently the government is doing the composting. Earlier, self-help groups were doing the composting with the Nirmalya. In 2010, we started a campaign against single-use disposable plastic bags, and we looked at what all the options could be, and then finalized to work on cloth bags, reusable cloth bags made from fresh cloth material. And this was the best in terms of creating a livelihood for the women we work with. And over the last 15 years now, we have done cloth bags for many amazing organizations, individuals, etc. And we've been able to send some of these abroad also. So this campaign was called Use Me Again. Now, as you can see, each of these projects will have an educational advocacy aspect, as well as a product and income generation that comes from it. These are the women. This is in the village of Avalwadi, where we've been working for the last 8 years. And these are some of the women who we've trained and who worked with us over the years. We don't employ any of these women, so they are free to come and go. They are free to choose how much they want to work. We do ensure that they learn with us, and a lot of skill development work happens along the way. So, besides cloth bags, there are also many other things that we teach them. Now, in 2020, during COVID, when the Ganesh festival really had to kind of be minimized because people were all in their homes, we started another angle to it, which was, and also what happened is in 2020, the Central Pollution Control Board finally said that they would ban plaster of Paris. And so we realized more and more people would turn to clay. And we were well aware that clay is a non renewable resource. And so, therefore, eventually, like the vision is that we would take people to just using permanent ideals. However, we know that this takes time because it's a mindset and a belief system. So, what we decided to do was to see if the clay could be recycled. We did a pilot test for 2 years. And then in the third year, we opened it up and we invited all of Pune to join us. You all know this problem, and everyone knows about it. Now, the thing that many people don't know is why we do Visarjan. And here is, in this particular project, the challenge is that we were kind of confronting a particular mindset. So, when I went back to understand why Visarjan is done, I realized that the idea of Visarjan is actually about circularity. Because Visarjan, the Sanskrit term, is the same term that is used for dissolution as well as creation. So in that thinking, it's a circular thinking because you realize that unless you let something go, something new will not be born. So we kind of couched the entire campaign in this very traditional and kind of scriptural understanding of why are we doing Visarjan, and therefore can we do it in a more eco-friendly way. This clay actually comes from Gujarat. It's not available in Maharashtra. When we realized that it can very easily be recycled by the murtikars themselves, this murti that you see is a recycled murti, very good quality, not at all a problem, and people were willing to buy it also. So then we took this across Pune. The CPCP guidelines were talking about banning plaster of Paris, where immersion was going to be happening, and also banning toxic chemical paints, both of which have still not been achieved because there's a flip flop on the government side. So we've worked a lot on the legal aspects of this. We've done an entire research study on all the litigations that have happened around the issue. We've also done that for single use plastic bags because every campaign will involve a whole lot of research. So now Punaravartan, which is what I was actually supposed to focus on today, but Punaravartan is this campaign. Now, when we took this across Pune, we invited anybody and everybody we knew to help. And in the third year of the campaign, the first time when we made it public to that scale, we already collected 23,000 kgs of clay. And we had no clue what we were going to do with it. Of course, we had approached Murtikars and we had tried to convince them, but it was a lot more clay than that could be reabsorbed. Also, the clay quality was not the best. So we decided, being an architect, I started reaching out to architects and asking whether it can be used for earthen construction and mud building, which I was very happy to discover. And more architects joined us also. So that's what we've been doing. Now, this particular campaign has been launched and introduced to 13 cities across India. And last year, 5 of these cities, and including with help from their municipal corporations, actually were involved in the collection. 76,000 kgs of clay was collected. And of course, we work on the collection system in two ways. So there is a home immersion collection, which comes individually from each home, where the quality of the clay is really good. But we also realize that if you want to scale this up, the government has to be involved. Now, in Pune, they have immersion tanks, and so public immersion clay was collected. That quality was not so great because things are mixed in it, and the architects were willing to take that clay. So I'm also happy to say that this has only happened because around 30 organizations joined hands to do this. Otherwise, we would have not been able to do this on our own. So this has been, in a way, the biggest project that EcoExist has led. Here are some of the corporations as well as the NGOs. And of course, there are lots of schools and colleges and, organizations like the Metro involved. This is to show you how that network was created and kind of coordinated by us. Everyone had a role to play. We allowed them to choose what role they would like to play, and then made sure that if there were gaps somewhere, then we either took on that gap or we found somebody else to do it. So Pune is the only city where this year we collected 49,000 just in Pune. So we are way, way ahead of any other city in Maharashtra or India, for that matter. This is just from Pimpri Chinchwad. So Pimpri Chinchwad, Shekhar Singh ji was here. Now, of course, he's no longer here, but he really pushed this. Pune Municipal Corporation has already done it. This is the third year that they're doing, but PCMC also had 26 public immersion locations, and this is the way in which the clay gets collected. So they collected 13,000 this year. Uh, Also, involving students, the younger generation, families, all of this is very important in changing the mindset, because it's a belief system that one has to change. And so this has actually been very, very successful. And this is the way the clay goes back to the murtikars. The murtikars get it all for free. And we have been working very closely with all the murtikars associations to look at what their challenges could be. So then, as I said, we help them to market the recycled clay murtis, because if they're not assured of a market, then they will not do it. So that also comes in, and that's handled by our commercial wing. And many different organizations, campuses, architects, architectural colleges, they were willing to take the clay from us. These are some of the architects, and this is some of the applications. So this research is happening right now. People are using it for pond lining, to make poured earth walls. We have tested construction blocks in a construction lab. It has been used for furnaces, for pottery. I think Shashank Nimkar, who's going to speak on the Stars Forum, will also be there. He's helping us with the ceramics part of it, as well as for wall plasters. So many, many different applications are being innovated currently. Now, another project, Gold Dust, this involves flower waste. What we found out from the people who continued our Nirmalya recycling campaign is that they were not really earning enough out of it. So we wanted to look for a more value addition kind of product. And so we started looking at, can we dye fabrics with the waste? Some years ago, I think maybe 2 years ago, there was a crash in the flower market. And just before the Sarah, you could see flowers being dumped. So these are fresh flowers that a farmer has brought all the way from wherever, from Sangli, from Parbhani. And they were just simply dumped on the roadsides. And one of our team members, Rohit, who's standing here, insisted that we couldn't just ignore this. So we collected these flowers, took them to Awalwadi, trained our women, and then eventually made fabrics from them, dyed different fabrics, converted them all into products, and started to market these products. So this was the beginning of Gold Dust. Now, which is also going on to look at other agro wastes such as onion peels, pomegranate peels, a whole range of things that we're looking at, as well as invasive species. So some of you may know that cosmos is one of the species that really ecologists as well as farmers are frustrated with. So this year we started dyeing and eco-printing with this, with absolutely stunning results. So this is how Gold Dust is now expanding. And the last project I want to share, which has just started right now after Diwali, because people started shifting from the use of clay diyas to these aluminum tea lights. Unfortunately, most of them get chucked a lot of times with the wax in it. So I started this project called Relight. I'm wearing these earrings, if you can see. I'm also wearing a Gold Dust stole, just to share with you. So this is another project where we've started training the women of Awalwadi to convert them, not just into things like jewelry, but also art. So art installations will be made. Now, the last thing I want to say, I don't know if I have time, but to say that, for me, I've never really separated my personal life from, say, my profession or from my career. So everything that I experience personally reflects onto this. I did spend 6 years in an ashram, so I am deeply impressed with, say, the Indian knowledge systems, and I've started to study and speak about circularity being so much a part of our tradition. It's just that we need to revive this understanding. So, learning to again think in terms of circularity in these presentations. A lot of the philosophy behind a circular kind of thought system is discussed, as well as the differences between linear ways of thinking and circular ways of thinking, which of course reflect in linear ways of production, use and throw kind of habits versus reuse and really respect for our natural resources. So this is another thing that I'm currently working on. And lastly, I run a study group called Dying to Learn, because unless as a society we embrace the end of things and the dissolution and the degradation of things, we cannot really aspire to think or reconfigure our production systems into circular ways. So this involves accepting death. I think my biggest teacher was my mother, who passed away in 2022. And the way in which she completely embraced her dying process, the things that I learned from it have now come about in a study forum called Dying to Learn, which I facilitate. And I'm happy to share with you further if any of you would like to. So, with this, I end my presentation. I hope I haven't taken too much time than was uh, uh, given to me. But with this, I'll just end here. And this is where you can reach us or see our work. Thank you very, very much for listening so patiently. And thanks, Chaitanya. I'll just stop here.
No, I think this has been absolutely riveting in a way. I mean, the amount of work that you've done over 20 years and the impact it has had. 76 tons of clay is no small number. I mean, imagine where it can go, but 49 tons, if I got that number right in the previous year,
In
and
Pune.
76 tons just in Pune is a
49 tons in
huge.
Pune, 49 tons in Pune this year. When I first
Yeah,
started, we collected 30 kgs, Chaitanya.
yeah,
So
okay.
from 30 kgs to 76 tons, it's a growth.
Massive transformation. Very, very
Yeah.
true. I mean, just hats off to the kind of impact your work has had. And it's the thing which was very interesting, and I'm sure there will be questions. I'll open this up for questions or comments from anyone. Narendra ji, आपके पास anything from you? You are looking to speak. Please go ahead.
No, I could not resist myself congratulating Manisha ji. I mean, this is like what we call, it's a copy left kind of model. It's not a copyright model. That is a wonderful thing. And I really would like to congratulate. In fact, we would like to collaborate. We have a lot more space where we are making people to do work. Nowadays, it's difficult to making people to do work also because the freebies and all culture. But this is something like I was very very touched. And sometimes you see that something you are doing and there are many people in the ecosystem who are doing good work, but somewhere we are disconnected, we are not connected. So I mean, we have a larger community scaffold where we can take up. I'll definitely come up with a one pager idea with you, and we look forward to have your visit sometime in Himachal, and we can take up in Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand. I think I was just weaving the new ideas and how we can collaborate. So thank you so much for sharing this and keep on doing this
Sure.
great work.
So,
Wonderful.
Narinder ji, I just want to mention that I have grown up with the Chinmaya mission in the background.
अरे वाह, तो फिर तो
So,
it's
and
a home.
when CORD first began, it was very much on my radar.
Oh,
So, would love to collaborate with you.
I wish that Didi was part of this presentation. In fact, she'll be back. She was in just traveled back from Pune today. So we'll look forward. I mean, I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
There were a few
Yeah,
questions
yeah.
here.
Please go ahead. Yes, Ranjit, do you want to ask?
Does training material available? Is there training material? Will you collaborate for skills training for rural youth? We can look at it for sure. I have, apart from this, there are other projects that I have not mentioned, but we run a nature education program for like semi-urban and rural kids called Vasudha. So what happens is when we are working with the children, we end up working with their mothers also. So we can look at developing such training programs. We haven't done it yet, but we are happy to look at it with you.
Ranjit is from Vignan Ashram, which you might have heard of. So
Yes.
yeah, we are not far either. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Good to see, Kedarji. Yeah, I think this natural dyeing is something which is also extremely valuable, extremely interesting. Something that's coming back in a way. I think it's increasingly becoming more acknowledged that natural dyeing is way better than the other forms of dyeing that we have been used to. So it's good to see that waste being used to almost. I mean, unfortunately, it had to go waste, but it didn't go waste in another way. So it's good that yeah. Fantastic. So I think let the questions and thoughts keep flowing. We will share Manisha ji's email with anybody else who wants to connect with her post this talk. With that, again, thank you so much, Manisha. Do hang on. Hopefully, we'll
Yes.
keep seeing you on the
Yes.
other ones also because the kind of and the range of work and the range of thinking you've done, I think, is going to be very helpful for anybody who's already working in this space or wishes to work in this space. So I think there's a lot to learn from whatever you have done so far. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
So once again, yeah. So let me with that let me bring in our second panel, uh, which is Mahesh Shinde and Dr. Manik Bitskar. Mahesh and Dr. Manik Bitskar, if you can turn your videos on, it will be very nice. तुम्हारा आप लोगों को देखने के लिए अच्छा देखना चाहिए हम लोगों ने. Okay, wonderful. So actually, yeah. So this is we were supposed to have Mr. Ambadas Garkar, who's the chief officer of Rajgurunagar Municipal Council, but last minute he couldn't make it. So thank you so much, Dr. Bitskar, for taking this last minute this thing to come and speak. Lekin, this is something that is very important. I think. We all know the difficulty of managing wet and dry waste in urban India. Yesterday, Ravindra Karnad spoke about how difficult it is to change minds of people in Bangalore. Anybody who has been to Bangalore can see waste dumped all over the place. I have seen, HF cows and roaming the streets of Bangalore, opening plastic bags to feed from there. It's such an unfortunate sight. And but what has been done in Rajguru Nagar is something that here gives us an opportunity, not us individually, but also collectively, particularly the various municipal bodies, what can be done. So with that, I'll just give a very quick introduction and then request Mahesh and Dr. Biskar to speak. Um, Mahesh is a graduate of Vignan Ashram. He's actually a agro engineer by profession and then by qualification rather. Then he spent few years in Vignan Ashram in their design innovation center, where he picked up the black soldier fly as something to focus on, and has worked for the last 2 years in various ways, or maybe even more than 2 years, I think, trying to refine the model of using black soldier firefly in composting wet waste. So he has worked very closely with the Rajgurunagar Municipal Corporation to treat their wet waste that is collected over there. So here too we have a lot of lessons to learn in terms of what does it take to work at a civic level. So with that, I'll request Mahesh and Dr. Bitskar to take over and tell us their story, what has happened and how, what are the lessons learned, what should we be doing, etc. Mahesh, आपको and Dr. Bitskar, आपको please take over.
Where is Mahesh? Mahesh, unmute yourself, please.
I will just give you presentation access.
महेश तुझा आवाज नहीं येत आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है महेश
महेश आवाज नहीं आ रही है आपके सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है.
माइक का प्रेफरेंस चेक करके देखना पड़ेगा. माइक का प्रेफरेंस महेश. हाय, अभी आ रहा है?
हाँ, अभी आ रहा है, अभी आ रहा है।
लेकिन आपका वीडियो चला गया है। आप वीडियो स्टार्ट कर सकते हो तो कीजिए, नहीं तो इट इज ओके।
गुड इवनिंग ऑल ऑफ यू। मैं
हाँ।
आपको ब्लैक सोल्जर फ्लाई लार्वा से कचरे का कैसे कंपोस्टिंग किया जा सकता है और उससे भी ज्यादा लार्वा से कैसे एनिमल फीड बनाया जा सकता है, इसके बारे में आपको मैं बताऊंगा। हमने 3 साल राजगुरुनगर में काम किया है और इसका केस स्टडी भी हम अभी एक्सप्लेन करेंगे। स्क्रीन शेयर करायचं, स्लाइड शो।
महेश, स्क्रीन स्लाइड शो मध्ये घाला म्हणजे जास्त क्लिअर
हो
दिसेल.
हो।
हा, गुड
ये
गुड.
हमारी टीम है। मैं खुद महेश शिंदे, इस कंपनी का फाउंडर व सीईओ, और हमारे मेंटर और गाइड है डॉक्टर लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल SS हसबनीस। और इसके अलावा हमारे और 2 डायरेक्टर है, अरुण दीक्षित और पल्लवी शानबाग। और विज्ञान आश्रम हमारा टेक्नोलॉजी पार्टनर है। ये क्यों करना चाहिए, इसलिए मैं पहले आपको प्रॉब्लम बताता हूँ। इंडिया में हर दिन 39 मिलियन मेट्रिक टन कचरा तैयार होता है। उसमें से सिर्फ 59 59% ही कचरा प्रोसेस करने के लिए म्यूनिसिपल या गवर्नमेंट के पास जगह है। लेकिन उसमें से सिर्फ 15% ही कचरे का प्रोसेस होता है। जितना मीथेन निकलता है उसमें से 11% मीथेन यह कचरे से निकलता है। और उसके अलावा 8 से 10% ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस निकलते हैं। जब हम पुणे की बात करें, पुणे में हर दिन 337 व्हीकल कचरा ट्रांसपोर्ट करने के लिए 20 किलोमीटर से ज्यादा घूमते हैं। उससे भी बहुत पोल्यूशन होता है। हम जब ये बहुत पोल्यूशन होता है। और जो अभी मार्केट में रेगुलर सॉल्यूशन है, उससे जो उसमें प्रोटीन और फैट कंटेंट है, ऐसे ही लॉस हो जाता है। जो रेगुलर सॉल्यूशन होते हैं उसमें फिक्स इन्वेस्टमेंट भी ज्यादा लगती है और उसमें कंपोस्टिंग और प्रोसेसिंग का टाइम भी ज्यादा है। जब हम गवर्नमेंट से हमें कचरा प्रोसेस करने के लिए 1 से 3 रुपए मिलता है। लेकिन उसमें से सिर्फ 5 से 15 पैसा ही 5 से 15 पैसा ही सिर्फ प्रोसेसिंग के लिए जाता है। बाकी बाकी का सब पैसा कचरा कलेक्शन, ट्रांसपोर्ट और सेग्रीगेशन के लिए जाता है। हमारा सॉल्यूशन कैसे वर्क करता है, इसके बारे में अभी आपको मैं बताऊंगा। ब्लैक सोल्जर फ्लाई लार्वाए कौन से भी बायोडिग्रेडेबल कचरे को खाकर उससे वैल्यूएबल घटक यानी लार्वा बनते हैं। उन लार्वा में 35 से 40% प्रोटीन कंटेंट है और 40 से 45% उसमें फैट कंटेंट है। कम से कम दिन यानी 15 दिन में सिर्फ हम कचरे का प्रोसेसिंग करते करते इसमें कोई कोई स्मेल भी नहीं आता। मैं आपको एक अभी वीडियो दिखाता हूँ। वन मिनट, वीडियो चल नहीं रहा, हम थोड़ा आगे जाते हैं। अब मैं आपको हमारा सॉल्यूशन कैसे वर्क करता है इसके बारे में जानकारी देता हूँ। जब कचरा आता है, कचरा हम डंप करने के बाद, आप पहले इमेज में आपको जैसे दिख रहा है, कचरा डंप करने के बाद उसमें हम ब्लैक सोल्जर फ्लाई लार्वा डालेंगे। ब्लैक सोल्जर फ्लाई लार्वा डालने के बाद 10 दिन में ब्लैक सोल्जर फ्लाई लार्वा कचरे का पूरा कंपोस्ट बना देते। और 12 दिन के बाद 12 दिन के बाद जब हम उसे अलग करेंगे तो हमें 2 प्रोडक्ट मिलते। पहला है कंपोस्ट, दूसरा है लार्वा। कंपोस्ट है हम खेती के लिए यूज कर सकते हैं और खेती में जो सब्जी मिलेगी उसका वेस्टेज फिर से मार्केट में हमारे डस्टबिन में आएगा। लेकिन जो लार्वा है वो लार्वा हम चिकन को और फिश को खिला सकते हैं। उसमें प्रोटीन कंटेंट ज्यादा है, इसलिए मुर्गियां अच्छे से खाती है। जब हम बात करें तब 12 दिन हमें कचरे का प्रोसेसिंग करने के लिए लगते हैं। और उसके बाद हम जो मुर्गी को लार्वा खिलाएंगे, मुर्गी मुर्गी को जब लार्वा खिलाएंगे, तीन तीन दिन के बाद मुर्गी एग देंगी। हम जब कचरा बनाएंगे वो 18 दिन में हमारे प्लेट में आता है। इसलिए बायो सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी का एक अच्छा मॉडल है। यह हमारे अलग अलग जब हम 1 टन कचरे का प्रोसेसिंग करेंगे तब हमें ये तीन प्रोडक्ट मिलते हैं। पहला है कंपोस्ट। कंपोस्ट 1 टन कचरा प्रोसेस करने से हमें 200 किलो के करीब कंपोस्ट निकलता है और 100 केजी के करीब हमें प्रोटीन और फैट रिच लार्वा लार्वा मिलते हैं। वो मुर्गी और फिश अच्छे से खाती है। हमें असेसमेंट करके मिला है वो अभी मैं आपको आगे दिखाऊंगा। 1 टन कचरा प्रोसेस करने से हमें 1 कार्बन क्रेडिट मिलता है। ये भी हमारा एक प्रोडक्ट है। हम पहले ऐसा मार्केट देख रहे हैं कि इसमें पहला जो मार्केट है हमारा वो है पोल्ट्री और फिश फार्मर। उनको हम डायरेक्ट लार्वा खिलाएंगे लाइव और ड्राई करके। दूसरा है वो फार्म जो ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग करते हैं, इनके लिए ये हमारा जो खाद है वो अच्छा है। इसमें वर्मी कंपोस्ट जैसे ही एनपीके के न्यूट्रिएंट है। और तीसरी हम बात करें तो वेट वेस्ट प्रोसेसिंग यानी म्युनिसिपल बॉडीज का कचरा और जो बल्क बल्क गार्बेज प्रोड्यूसर है वो हमारे तीसरा मार्केट कस्टमर है। हमने बायोगैस, रेगुलर कंपोस्टिंग, बीएसएपल मेथड और पोल्ट्री फीड मैन्युफैक्चर इसका थोड़ा मार्केट एनालिसिस किया है। हम जब ब्लैक सोल्जर फ्लाई से कचरे का प्रोसेसिंग करते हैं सिर्फ 15 दिन में ही कचरे का प्रोसेसिंग हो जाता है। 15 दिन में कचरे का प्रोसेसिंग हो जाता है, इसलिए इसमें लो रिसाइकलिंग टाइम है और इकोनॉमिकली फाइबर भी है। बायोगैस और बीएसएपल मेथड एनवायरमेंटल सस्टेनेबल है, लेकिन ये तीनों भी सॉल्यूशन साइंटिफिकली डिजाइन है। हमारा विज्ञान आश्रम, प्रतीन इकोसोल्यूशन और राजगुरु म्यूनिसिपल काउंसिल इनका एमओयू हुआ है। उनके पास हर दिन 10 मेट्रिक टन कचरा निकलता है। वो प्रोसेस करने करने के लिए हमारे पास टेक्निक है, लेकिन उनके पास अभी कचरा 3 मेट्रिक टन कचरा प्रोसेस करने के लिए सिर्फ जगह है, इसलिए हम उधर अभी 3 मेट्रिक टन ही कचरा प्रोसेस कर रहे हैं। विज्ञान आश्रम और प्रति इको सोल्यूशन ने मिलकर खुद से लार्वा सेपरेट करने के लिए मशीन और ऑयल एक्सट्रैक्शन का सिस्टम बनाया है। और हमारे पास फुल्ली ऑटोमेटिक आईओटी बेस्ड ब्रीडिंग चेम्बर है। उससे हम 12 महीने टेम्परेचर ह्यूमिडिटी रेगुलर करके लार्वा का प्रोडक्शन होने के लिए हमारे पास पूरा सेटअप है। पॉल्यूशन की बात करें तो सबसे पहले जो कचरा है, कचरा हर जगह निकलता है और कचरा हर जगह इंडिया में हर जगह कचरे का प्रॉब्लम और हर जगह हमें कचरा मिलता है। इसलिए हमारा जो रॉ मटेरियल है वो हमें कहीं भी मिल जाता है और उसकी कॉस्ट भी कम है। प्रोटीन रिट्राइव करने की कॉस्ट भी ज्यादा है और वो एनिमल और फिश एनिमल फीड में इसकी प्रोटीन की ज्यादा अभी डिमांड है। बीएसएफ लार्वा है वो पोल्ट्री फीड और देशी मुर्गी के लिए और फिश के लिए बहुत ज्यादा यूजफुल है। हमारी जब यूएसपी की हम बात करेंगे तब हम 15 दिन में ही कचरे का प्रोसेस करते हैं और 15 दिन में कचरे का प्रोसेस होने के बाद जल्द से जल्द हमें जो लार्वा मिलते हैं वो हम डायरेक्ट फार्मर को बेच सकते हैं। और फार्मर या लार्वा खिलाने के बाद उनका जो फीड का कॉस्ट है वो भी कम हो जाता है। हमारे पास फुली ऑटोमेटिक ब्रीडिंग चैम्बर है, इसे हमें 12 महीने जो हमें रेगुलर प्रोडक्शन के लिए लार्वा चाहिए वो मिलते रहेंगे और हमारे पास ऑन फील्ड टेक्निकल सपोर्ट भी है। जब हम इम्पैक्ट की बात करें तो इकोनॉमिक तीन इकोनॉमिक, सोसाइटी और एनवायरमेंट, ये तीनों इम्पैक्ट के ऊपर बात करेंगे। हमारा सॉल्यूशन है सेल्फ सस्टेनेबल गार्बेज मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम है। इस पे गवर्नमेंट को और किसी संगठन को बार बार पैसा नहीं डालना पड़ता है और से और इसमें से हमें बार बार पैसा नहीं डालना पड़ता। और दूसरा फायदा यह है कि ऑर्गेनिक कंपोस्ट होने से इसमें से कोई बदबू नहीं आती और कम से कम दिन में इसमें से हमें ज्यादा वैल्यूएबल प्रोडक्ट मिलते हैं। बायोगैस और रेगुलर कंपोस्टिंग की हम बात करें तो सोसाइटी की हम बात करें तो भारत में सब जगह प्रोटीन की भारत में सबसे बड़ी समस्या प्रोटीन की डिफिशियंसी है, खासकर एनिमल फार्मिंग में। बीएसएफ इसका शॉर्टकट सॉल्यूशन है और शॉर्टकट सॉल्यूशन है। इसके अलावा यह प्रक्रिया हाइजीन और पैथोजन फ्री होती है। जब जब हम एनवायरनमेंट की बात करें तो जो लैंडफिल में कचरा जाता है, इससे बहुत सारा पोल्यूशन होता है। ये पोल्यूशन इस टेक्निक से हम जब कचरे का प्रोसेसिंग करेंगे तो ये पूरा पोल्यूशन कम हो जाएगा। जयपाल एमआईटी करके एक संस्था से हमारा टाई अप हुआ है और 3 साल ये हमें कार्बन फुटप्रिंट स्टडी के ऊपर सहायता कर रहे हैं। इसका ये पूरा उन्होंने 2023-24 का हमने जब 12 मेट्रिक टन कचरा प्रोसेस किया था, तो ये उन्होंने पूरा कैलकुलेशन करके हमें इवैल्यूएशन रिपोर्ट बना के दिया है। जब हमने 12 मेट्रिक टन कचरे का प्रोसेसिंग किया था, तब हम 12 मेट्रिक टन के करीब हम एक कार्बन 12 मेट्रिक टन हमने इमिशन अवॉइड किया था। मैं विज्ञान आश्रम पावड़ का इंक्यूबेटिव हूँ और मुझे विज्ञान आश्रम से 3 साल का डीएसटी का सपोर्ट है। इसके अलावा विज्ञान आश्रम और प्रतीन इकोसोल्यूशन ने करके एक सीएसआर फंड के लिए भी अप्लाई किया था, वो भी अप्रूवल हुआ है। और जनवरी से हम आगे 3 साल तक उस गांव का ड्राई वेस्ट, गीला वेस्ट और अवेयरनेस के ऊपर हम काम करने वाले हैं। हमें अलग अलग अवार्ड भी मिले। सर्कुलर बायो इकोनॉमी इनोवेशन चैलेंज का 2nd प्राइज मिला है। शेपलर इंडिया सोशल इनोवेशन फेलोशिप भी मिली है। सिडबी का यंग एनवायरमेंट चैंपियन अवार्ड मिला है। पीसीएमसी का स्वच्छ टेक्नोलॉजी का 1st प्राइज मिला है। और जयपाल से हमें कार्बन फुटप्रिंट स्टडी के ऊपर काम करने के लिए 3 साल का पूरा सपोर्ट है। उसके साथ साथ हम अभी राजगुरु नगर पालिका में हर दिन 3 टन कचरा प्रोसेस कर रहे हैं। उधर 3 टन कचरा प्रोसेस कर रहे हैं। और जनवरी से मैं जैसे बोला कि वैसे हम सावरदरी करके ग्राम पंचायत है, उधर के भी कचरा प्रोसेसिंग का काम चालू करेंगे। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू महेश, बहुत अच्छा लगा सब सुन के। आई थिंक, हाँ, थैंक यू महेश। ये जो काम आपने शुरू किया है उसके बारे में तो टेक्नोलॉजी और जो आपने एक्सप्लेन किया वो तो बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन इसमें हम लोग को अभी थोड़ा और भी सीखना जरूरी है कि लोगों को कैसे चेंज किया। वो म्युनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन ने कैसा आपके साथ काम किया। तो आई थिंक मेरे ख्याल से डॉक्टर बिस्कर से या आप दोनों भी बता सकते हैं इसके बारे में कि लोकल चैलेंजेस कैसे थे। टेक्नोलॉजी तो आपने परफेक्ट किया, तो उसका जो पूरा साइकिल है वो भी एक्सप्लेन किया, क्योंकि और सेल्फ सस्टेनिंग जो मॉडल है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि इसमें लार्वा तो जनरेट होता ही रहता है, बार बार आपको खर्चा नहीं करना पड़ता है। एंड दैट्स अ वेरी गुड सेल्फ सस्टेनिंग मॉडल।
बिचकर मैडम, आप आपका अभी फीडबैक दो, इसके बाद में बोलूंगा।
ये आप स्क्रीन शेयर बंद कर सकते हैं महेश। हाँ डॉक्टर बिस्कर प्लीज, आप भी बताइए।
सभी को नमस्ते। मेरे हिसाब से 25 इयर्स से ज्यादा हम लोग फ्रेंड्स हैं जो एक ग्रुप बना के राजगुरु नगर में ये काम कर रहे थे कि सेपरेशन एट द सोर्स। जब पहली बार ये समझ में आया कि कचरा करने वाले हम ही हैं, जो बराबर नहीं कर रहे हैं तो प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट होगी। और आगे जाके ये 25 साल में इतने ही समझ में आया कि अगर ये घर पे नहीं होता तो बाहर करना बहुत मुश्किल है। तो हमारे गांव में पूरा डंपिंग हुआ करता था। तो मेरे फ्रेंड्स ने जो ग्राम पंचायत सदस्य थी उन्होंने भी बहुत हेल्प किया। तो शुरू शुरू में हमने जब सेपरेट किया तो हमने इसका प्लास्टिक का क्या करना ये समझ में नहीं आया, फिर वो डंपिंग ग्राउंड पे गया। तो बाद में विज्ञानाश्रम से थोड़ा सपोर्ट मिला। उससे पहले इनोवा करके भी उन्होंने भी मदद की। तो जो सेपरेट किया हुआ गीला वेस्ट था तो उस पे काम करने का पहले तो कुछ केमिकल डाल के कह सकते हैं थोड़ा वर्मी कंपोस्ट जैसे, लेकिन वैसे नहीं, लेकिन थोड़ा कोशिश की थी कि उसका कैसा कर सकते हैं। हमने 500 घरों का कचरा जो गीला वेस्ट है उस पे ही काम किया था कि जो रिसाइक्लेबल है उसका क्या करना हमें पता नहीं था, वो राजगुरुनगर नगर परिषद देख लेगी ऐसा कहा था। हम लोग इस पे काम कर रहे हैं कि लोगों तक पहुंचे और ये कहें कि सेपरेशन एट द सोर्स। तो मैं कह सकती हूँ कि ओवर 20 years वी हैव कम टू 80% सेपरेशन। लेकिन अगर बीच में छोड़ देते हैं तो वो वापस थोड़ा बढ़ता है, डंपिंग ज्यादा होता है। तो इसमें मेरे लिए दो प्रॉब्लम्स है कि घंटा गाड़ी है लेकिन टाइम पे कोई कभी कभी किसी का जमता नहीं है। जैसे काम जाने वाले वर्कर्स है जो 6 बजे चले जाएंगे, 7 बजे चले जाएंगे, घंटा गाड़ी 9 बजे आएंगे। तो हम इसके लिए भी मांग की है कि कहीं गाड़ी होनी चाहिए 2 घंटा जिसमें वर्कर भी होना चाहिए जो देख लेगा कि आपका अलग अलग कचरा आया है, वो डंपिंग नहीं होना चाहिए। ये लेकिन अभी हुआ नहीं है। सर ने किया कहा है कि हो जाएगा लेकिन अभी हुआ नहीं है। अगर ये होता है तो जो बाहर रास्ते पे कचरा पड़ता है वो सारा मिक्स कचरा होता है, वो ना हो इसके लिए हम काम कर रहे हैं। और महेश का प्रोजेक्ट डेफिनेटली कह सकती हूँ कि अभी ये 2 साल तो पूरे हो गए, ये तीसरा साल चालू है। वो शेड जो पिक्चर दिखाया उसमें हर रोज का 1 टन कचरा, गीला कचरा प्रोसेस हो जाता है, उसका स्मेल बिल्कुल नहीं आता। आगे के डंपिंग ग्राउंड पे स्मेल आता है क्योंकि वो मिक्स भी आता है। और इसका मिक्स आया जो भी तो भी वो प्लास्टिक बाहर निकल के आता है क्योंकि वो लार्वी जो है तो प्लास्टिक खाते नहीं है। तो थोड़ा प्लास्टिक आया तो इतना मुश्किल नहीं होती है, फिर भी चल जाता है। हम लोग ये सोचते हैं कि 60 by 60 के इसमें 1 टन का कचरा हर रोज जाता है। तो ये तो थोड़ा थोड़ा डीपोलराइज करके डिसेंट्रलाइज करके छोटे छोटे पिट्स बना सकते हैं, जगह बना सकते हैं जहाँ ये चले। अगर ये सस्टेनेबल रहता है तो बड़ी बड़ी अच्छी बात होगी जो हम लोग अलग गांवों में भी इसको रिप्लिकेट कर सकेंगे। और जो ड्राई वेस्ट है उसके लिए तो मुझे लगता है अभी पहले दीदी से सुना कि क्या क्या अलग से कर रहे हैं वो गणपति आइडॉल्स का जो देखा तो बहुत अच्छा लगा। तो इसके लिए मेरे हिसाब से एक चेन बननी चाहिए। मैं डॉक्टर के हिसाब से एक बात कहूँ कि जैसे अपनी आर्टरी से पूरा खून उंगली तक जाता है, छोटी 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 वेन्स, सॉरी आर्टरीज के कैपिलरीज तक जाता है और फिर कैपिलरीज से वेन्स बन के आती है जो आर्टरी के साइड बाय साइड चलती है। तो मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि ये जो प्लास्टिक होता है ये जो बड़े शहरों से छोटे गांवों तक आता है तो वैसे उसका उठाने का कुछ तो सिस्टम बनना चाहिए और बड़े शहरों में उसका रिसाइकल होना चाहिए। छोटे गांव उसका कुछ नहीं कर सकते। मैं जब कहीं भी ट्रेकिंग के लिए जाती हूँ तो अपने सह्याद्री में देखती हूँ कि कहीं भी प्लास्टिक वेस्ट बहुत पड़ा हुआ बिखरा हुआ मिलता है। कोकण कड़ा के नीचे 5,000 से ज्यादा बॉटल्स गिरे हुए हैं। तो इसका क्या करेंगे, उसका कुछ तो सिस्टम बनना चाहिए जो वहां से उठ के वापस बड़े गांव में आना चाहिए जहां वो रिसाइकल होना चाहिए। इनका जो प्रोजेक्ट है बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है और ये रिप्लिकेट होना चाहिए ऐसे मुझे लगता है। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सो मच डॉक्टर बिचकर। तो ये जो प्रॉब्लम्स आपने बताया है, आई थिंक दीज आर सीरियस प्रॉब्लम्स। इस पे भी बहुत काम करना बाकी है, लेकिन इवन टू गेट 80% सेग्रीगेशन itself is a big achievement. आई थिंक कई जगहों पे तो उतना भी नहीं होता होगा, लेकिन अगर 80% हो रहा है तो मेरे ख्याल से इट्स अ पॉजिटिव डेवलपमेंट। लेकिन काम बाकी, जैसे कि आपने कहा, और भी काम करना बाकी है इसमें, लोगों को
इसमें
इम्प्रूव ये
जैसे
करने में।
मैंने 1 ही मिनट में बीच में बोलती हूँ,
जी जी
मुझे
जी।
ऐसा लगता है कि 10 लोग अच्छा डाले ड्राई वेस्ट एकदम और एक भी कोई उसमें मिक्स कचरा डाल दे तो उसका
तो
वैल्यू ही
पूरा,
कम हो जाता है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
हम काम
बिल्कुल।
कर रहे हैं और ज्यादा से ज्यादा इसके लिए सबसे जरूरी मेरे लिए दो चीज है कि एक तो पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस बिल्कुल नहीं चाहिए और कुछ ना कुछ तो फाइन होना चाहिए जो सीरियसली होना चाहिए, इम्प्लीमेंट होना चाहिए। हम लोग ये मांग कर रहे हैं लेकिन अभी ये हुआ नहीं है। अगर ये होता है
हम्म।
तो अगर 100% वेस्ट सेग्रीगेटेड आता है तो ये पूरा मतलब नेचुरल खाद बनेगा तो ऑब्वियसली आप
वेरी ट्रू।
खेती कर पाओगे, उसके और अच्छे परिणाम आएंगे। ये टाई अप हो सकता है तो इसके लिए फार्मर्स भी आपको जगह देंगे क्योंकि उनको पूरा सेग्रीगेटेड वेट वेस्ट आएगा।
जी
लेकिन अगर
बिल्कुल
सेग्रीगेटेड नहीं आता है तो बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, ऐसा मुझे लगता है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। थैंक यू सो मच। आई थिंक ये इसमें जो कहते हैं ना कि समाज, बाजार और सरकार तीनों का काम है, तीनों को
बिल्कुल
अपनी अपनी तरफ से जोड़ के ही काम हो सकता है इसमें। नहीं तो किसी एक ने भी पीछे काम किया तो पीछे हट गए तो ये काम कभी पूरा नहीं होगा।
बिल्कुल।
तो समाज को भी अपना अपना हर एक को अपना अपना जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, सेग्रीगेशन एट एट होम, एट सोर्स, वो करना है। सरकार को अपना जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो या जो सेटअप है कलेक्शन का, उसको ठीक करना है, और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ जो लॉज है और रूल्स हैं उसको तो करना ही चाहिए। और वैसे करेंगे तो इसका जो कमर्शियल या क्या कहते हैं उसको, मार्केट जो है फॉर प्रोड्यूस बायो आउटपुट्स जो है, उसका भी डेवलप हो जाएगा ठीक से। एंड आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ अस हैव टू वर्क टुगेदर। सो थैंक यू वंस अगेन डॉक्टर बिचकर। महेश, थैंक यू सो मच, आपने इतना डिटेल में ब्लैक सोल्जर फ्लाई के बारे में बताया था। आई थिंक आई डू वांट टू मेंशन वन थिंग, कि कल हम लोगों ने डॉक्टर मानसी त्रिपाठी को सुना, जिन्होंने जो सर्कुलर बायो इकोनॉमिक इनोवेशन हब के बारे में कहा था। इस साल महेश शिंदे उनके फाइनलिस्ट भी थे। और जो कोलैबोरेशन की बात हुई, इनफैक्ट वन ऑफ द थिंग्स वाज a team in Kenya was in a position to support and give more technical inputs to Mahesh, and that kind of collaboration is what we are looking for. So that's very good. आई थिंक देयर आर कपल ऑफ पॉइंट्स। रंजीत, आप और फिर मनीषा, आप प्लीज अनम्यूट करके जरूर बोलिए
Yeah,
प्लीज।
Chaitanya, actually, you raised a right point. Dr. Mansi explained us yesterday about role of different stakeholders. See, Vigyan Ashram is just a technical partner. Mahesh is entrepreneur. CEO is involved as an administrator. But I just want to highlight the role of Dr. Bichkar here, because if we look from outside, she is just a villager, or a kind of what we can say is just one person of a Rajgurunagar. But she is driving this initiative from last 25 years. I mean, if you go to Rajgurunagar and ask anybody who is Dr. Bichkar, they'll say कि एक लेडी है जो कि स्कूटर के ऊपर कचरे की गाड़ी के पीछे चलती रहती है, क्योंकि कोई रास्ते के ऊपर कचरा ना डाले। Now, we wanted to test the technology on a large scale, and we approached Biskar, and because of her, actually, we got into a system of political or social political pressure we could able to build. And then Mahesh is there who is pitching every day. So I just want to stress on the same point कि bio economy or this circulation is very hard area to pitch in. But if everybody joins hand, then it's possible. That's it.
वेरी ट्रू रंजीत। मनीषा।
या जस्ट पहले तो बहुत सुंदर आप दोनों ने जो शेयर किया, बहुत धन्यवाद आपको। मैं ये कहना चाह रही थी कि ये जो पब्लिक और प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप होता है ना, वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट्स में। हमने जब पुनरावर्तन के लिए हम म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशंस के साथ ही काम करते हैं, तो जब प्राइवेट जो कंपनीज हैं या एनजीओज भी जाते हैं कोई म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन के पास, तो पहले तो वो म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन के स्टाफ के लोगों के क्या चैलेंजेस हैं, हम जाके उनको डिमांड करते हैं कि आप ये करिए वो करिए, बट व्हेन यू एक्चुअली सिट विद देम तो पता चल जाता है कि अरे ऑन द ग्राउंड गणपति के टाइम पे उनके ऊपर इतना प्रेशर होता है, इतनी सारी चीजें होती हैं, फिर बारिश भी इतनी गिरती है, सो देयर सो मेनी प्रैक्टिकल इश्यूज और जब हम एज अ प्राइवेट पार्टी और एज एन एनजीओ हम जाते हैं ना म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन के पास, तो वो भी एक पार्टनरशिप और एक कोलैबोरेशन में जब हम करते हैं, और तो जैसे अभी हमने ऑलरेडी शुरू कर दिया कि हर वार्ड ऑफिस में जाके वार्ड के लेवल पे भी उनसे बात करें कि भाई आपके क्या चैलेंजेस थे और उसमें हम आपकी मदद कैसे कर सकते। सो द पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप बिकम्स एब्सोल्युटली एसेंशियल। एक और पॉइंट मैं ये कहना चाह रही थी कि जो शहर में कचरा हम निर्माण करते हैं ना, वो शहर के सीमाओं में ही मैनेज होना चाहिए। आई मीन ये जो बात है कि हम अपना कचरा जाके कोई ग्राम पंचायत में डाल रहे हैं और ग्राम पंचायत के पास दे डोंट हैव द वेयरविथॉल, दे डोंट हैव द फंडिंग, दे डोंट हैव द टेक्नोलॉजी टू डू दिस। तो there I feel कि there should be a rule that इतने रेडियस में ये शहर का कचरा यहीं पे मैनेज होना चाहिए. It's not that ग्राम पंचायत responsibility. We saw this even during Ganpati where Satara Municipal Corporation, everybody was doing the Visarjan in Sangam Mauli, which is a small village next to Satara. And Sangam Mauli कह रहे थे कि हाँ इतने सारे मूर्तियां आप लाके हमारी नदी में डालोगे, you expect us to deal with it, that doesn't work. So ये जो urban divide हो जाता है ना, that becomes very important in terms of waste management.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, very important point, very important point. थैंक यू सो मच. आई थिंक नो दिस इज बीन बहुत अच्छा लगा ये सुन के कि क्या कह रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं, कैसे कर रहे हैं. एंड आई थिंक डॉक्टर बिचकर, टोटली हैट्स ऑफ टू यू. आपको सलाम देना चाहिए हम सब की तरफ से कि 25 साल आपने इसके पीछे लगा कर, मतलब आपका टाइम दे दिया इसमें, आपका इतना एफर्ट, इतना टाइम, इतना एनर्जी देना कोई साधारण काम नहीं है, कोई साधारण बात नहीं है. कोई कभी कभी इसी इट इज प्रॉब्ली बिकॉज ऑफ सच पीपल दैट सच चेंजेस हैपन. सो थैंक यू सो मच डॉक्टर बिचकर. इट इज वंडरफुल टू हैव आपके साथ मुलाकात हुई इस फोरम पे. ये बहुत अच्छा लगा आपके बारे में सुनकर. तो आपको और महेश को और राजगुरुनगर में जो कर रहे हैं इसको ठीक सुधारने का, सबको बेस्ट विशेस. और मेरे ख्याल से इसका जो आपने जो किया है ये कई जगह पे जाना चाहिए, ये कई म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशंस तक जाएगा तो अच्छा लगेगा कि इससे कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट हो जाएगा कहीं और से. तो थैंक यू वंस अगेन. एंड विद दैट मे आई इनवाइट मिस्टर Ramasubramanian, who's our last speaker for today. And he's very kindly taken his time out to join us. I know he's not keeping well today, so we'll see how we can manage. And thank you, despite your throat infection, that you're spending time with us today. Thank you so much, Mr. Ramasubramanian. It was ये वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज मैं बताता हूँ कि ये स्टार्स फोरम का एक, दिस इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग दैट हैपेंस. वी ऑलवेज फाइंड गुड पीपल recommending other good people. And I think that is what actually happened. We were almost at the end of finalizing the speaker schedule for this conference. And then one of our friends suggested, why don't you talk to Mr. Ramasubramanian? And I said, oh, I don't know whether we can, what can we do? It's almost at the 11th hour. But when I went on the internet, I read up his work and I reached out to him. I think within a matter of couple of hours, we got onto a call. And I'm really thankful for you to have at such short notice agreeing to speak at this conference and letting us know what all you've done. I think we would love to really understand. To give a short introduction, actually it would take a long time, but I'll give a short introduction so that people understand the scale and the breadth of work you have done. Mr. Ramasubramanian is actually a globally recognized authority on things like ethical, sustainable livelihood, ecosystem building. He's worked over many years, almost 27, 28 years, in various kinds of initiatives in the social sector, involved in building some very, very large-scale skill development programs. He has been a founder director of the Sustainable Livelihoods Institute in Auroville. There's so much he has done in terms of working in the skilling space with the World Bank, with the FAO, a consultant and a visiting faculty at Madras School of Social Work. And also for us who have been connected with Varda, he's been a secretary of the Magan Sangrahalaya as well. So he's touched so many organizations, so many institutions, so many fields in the field of sustainability and ethical livelihoods and ecosystems and all that. That I'm so happy that we have you as a speaker today. And over the last 3 days, we've seen many people inquire, what can we do next? What are the kind of things that we should be doing next? And I'm pretty sure that in this conversation today, we'll get to hear some answers to the questions that popped up in the last 2 3 days. So over to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ramasubramanian, once again. And so the stage is yours now. We can't hear you. Maybe no. Maybe you need to check your microphone. Maybe it's microphone setting.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, now it's good. Now it's good. Thank you so much.
Okay. No, it's thanks a lot, Chaitanya ji, for inviting me. And पहले से ही मैं माफ़ी मांगता हूँ, मैं ज़्यादा हिंदी में बात नहीं कर सकता हूँ, मैं दक्षिण भारत से हूँ, हम यहाँ तमिल बोलते हैं, इसलिए मैं ज़्यादा अंग्रेज़ी इस्तेमाल करूँगा. I know some of you may have challenges in it. So
yeah,
my
I can tell you
Hindi
your Hindi is way better than mine. So I don't think that should be any problem anyway. But that's okay. It's
yeah. So
that was very humble of you to have said it. But
I wish I can speak in Marathi sometimes. I will learn. I have spent quite a bit of time at the Sevagram ashram in, but I haven't learned much Marathi, I should confess. Thanks a lot for the invitation, and it is absolutely fabulous listening to Manisha and Mahesh Shinde earlier today. I couldn't unfortunately join last couple of days. I have been traveling a bit and I couldn't join earlier. And it's just amazing to listen to these stories and how many different areas in which Manisha was talking about, the various areas she is working on. I do not have any PPT I couldn't put together or something, but I just thought today I will use this occasion because
I think we've lost your voice again.
are you able to hear me now?
Yeah. Now it's fine now.
I'll switch over to another device if it doesn't continue this way.
Yeah.
So
No.
is this better?
Yes. This is good.
Okay, I just changed the device. I'll start with 4 different stories as a beginning to give you an idea about green skills sector. And then I will get on to talk about what are our challenges today. I'm sure so many of you would have encountered them at different points, and then move on to talk about the possible initiatives, etc. That is where. To begin with, in terms of green entrepreneurship in India, just one broad statement, and I am a big votary of this. I believe that as the largest working population in the world, as the largest working age population in the world, we ought to be looking at the biggest opportunity for job creation that is available world over. And the biggest job availability today is the green sector. So there is no denying that. I mean, if India is a sleeping elephant that is still not recognized the potential that we can tap into globally, not just nationally in terms of skill creation. Having said that, I'll just start with 3 or 4 stories. During COVID, I had this, a friend of mine makes cloth bags instead of plastic bags. And they have this center that is based out of one slum area where they have more than 20 women working with them. Like everybody else during COVID time, they also were struggling with losing markets and not able to know what to do. So this entrepreneur came up with an interesting strategy. He said, look, we have this big infrastructure, we have this manpower. Can we open up this infrastructure for other people? So he invited a couple of others to join in the business space. So one more gentleman who had organic retail moved to the same space. And another gentleman who had a packaging company moved to the same space. Once they moved in there, they realized something very interesting happening. The women who are working in the tailoring division of the bag making. They started learning how to do packaging, how to do organic retail, because they were all door delivery at the time. And soon enough, they were using different times of the day to do different things. And he said something very interesting. I met him and did an interview during the COVID, and he said, I'm surprised, but their productivity is increased. He said they are doing less number of hours doing things, the same thing, but their productivity is gone up. Now, I want to just pause there because this is a critical point that we need to understand. The next story I want to share with you is a couple of years ago, we have a very large skill development program in Tamil Nadu, which I have been helping with the government as a consultant, shaping it, etc. As part of it, we had a community skill schools in every village. And some of the skill schools were done by welders, people who do welding locally. They were teaching. So some of the master welders, we brought them to IIT Chennai, IIT Madras, for a higher skill development program. About 50 of them turned up. And you know how it is, people are reluctant initially. Why? What will we learn? Many of them have spent 10 years, 15 years doing this. When they came, my friend professor there, he did a very simple exercise. He gave them cardboards and he said, this is the design we need to make. Let's first cut the cardboard and make the design. And then we will actually get into doing it through welding with metal. And the most interesting thing that happened, they were divided into groups and they did this exercise. And I was there with them. Towards the end of the day, I asked them, what did they learn? And they said, design. They said, we have been doing welding for so long. We have been doing fabrication for so long. When somebody gives us a design, we just go ahead and immediately start working with the metals. We didn't realize that if you only do a design process of thinking multiple ways of using the material, we would be in a position to save the material. He said by just pausing before we do this, we were able to think about how do we save on the material. And saving material for us means it will be increasing our revenue.
Yep.
And this is the second story. The third story I want to share two more stories, then I'll get on to talk about the skill challenge today we have in India. You mentioned about the Sustainable Livelihood Institute. I was a founder director, and we have trained more than 10,000 women groups, created hundreds of enterprises, and trained more than 500 government officials on sustainability thinking. One of my flagship program used to be stewarding sustainable livelihoods in rural areas. How do you imagine sustainable livelihoods? How we did it, I'll come to in a while if I have time, but I can share more. But one of the most challenging enterprise that we ended up facilitating was with a group of women because they used to come for training from the government side. And every time we always used to follow up, go to their district, go to the village, ask them how are things. And I always used to ask this question, don't tell me your success stories, tell me your failure stories. Because that's what most people don't ask. So my question was, tell me your failure. So in one of the government offices, when I was asking, very hesitantly, village facilitator told me the story of how two women had created an enterprise of processed food, pickle, basically, they made. They had come into doing the training in our institute and gone back and started this as an enterprise. And subsequently, it failed. And I asked her why. And she told me. I said, fine, let's go to your village. So we went to the village. And I invited those two girls to come and speak to me. And I remember seeing the hurt in their face, in their very eyes, the hurt and the anger when they narrated the story. The story goes that they got trained into how to create local recipes and pickles and how do you put them in how do you produce. They developed a detailed standard operating procedure, created this product. They were able to sell it. When they took it to the market, they found that because they come from a lower caste, people in the village did not buy them. It's not about the product, it is about their caste. And people refused to buy. They went to the nearby government office, the same office which facilitated giving them the loan to produce. Even there, people didn't buy. So they were hurt. They went back to their basti and they had a meeting of the elders. And the elders told them, yeah, hamara bas ka nahi hai. Let's go back to being laborers. They basically work as laborers in the nearby industries. They said, it's not for us to become entrepreneurs and not to create this. Let's go back. And so all the households pulled in money to make ease the loss for these two women. They bought bits and pieces of this within the bus. And these women narrated this entire story to me. I told them, look, you have only learned how to do the product, how to produce. You didn't know how to do the marketing. If you had only told us, we would have helped you learn that also. Why don't you come back to the institute? We'll help you. They didn't agree. I had to sit in a dharna in the village and convince the elders to send them over again. They came, they spent time. We told them how to do the packaging, how to do the labeling, what is the story you say, etc. And at that time, I had a few interns, thankfully, from a premium management school in India. I told the young people and the two young students to go to the village, stay in the village with these people, to do the first round of production and do a market research to set up this entire enterprise come back. In about 3 weeks' time, their product was relaunched, this time at the district collectorate, and the collector bought the first bottle. And the same pickle that they could not sell in the market was bought by the collector. That evening, they called me. They were on the TV that evening. Their story was in the television. And they called me excited and said, we sold everything. The first batch of products that we made, everything was sold. Now, I just want to mark this also as a third story. And last story I want to talk about is the story of COVID. During COVID, all of us remember, we saw this long march of people from different parts of the country going by walk to various parts. Thankfully, because I'm involved with the government and some of us were able to put this point across with the government, we said, if there is somebody coming back to a village, because it is the most undignified thing to be tossed out from an industry during a supply chain crash, because now the market is crashed, so you don't have a job. You have to go. And there was no transport. People were walking long distances. And I have seen people walk from Coimbatore all the way to Manipur and Mizoram in the Northeast. So what we did was, in Tamil Nadu, we convinced the government, we spoke to them, and the government was very agreeable. We said, if you have a marketable skill that has got local relevance, government should give a soft loan to create an enterprise that is locally relevant and that can sustain. Initially, there was a bit of a hesitation. People didn't come through. But subsequently, by and by, people started coming in. And eventually, we ended up creating nearly 5,400 entrepreneurs out of that one scheme, just by ensuring that if you are, I mean, it's like regaining dignity by creating an enterprise in their own village, right? Now, the four stories I'm telling you primarily to highlight four different facets of challenges we have today with green skilling. Today, if you talk about green skilling, unfortunately, most of our concentration, particularly in the organized academia, I know, I mean, it's again unfortunate in India. Organized academia only looks at organized space, organized industries as their clientele. And we know for sure 89% of India is still employed by the unorganized sector. The large sector that is employing everybody. And it's unfortunate that we still continue to call it unorganized sector. That just shows our own ignorance. The educated's ignorance of the educated is a challenge for us, right? So everything from morning toothbrush, toothpaste, all the way to your night bedding, just about everything can be green. Everything can be produced. And again, here I want to highlight something very clear. When I talk about green, what do I mean by green? It's not about the product alone. For me, the characteristics of green economy, I define using 5 parameters. One, sustainable use of resources. Two, minimizing the negative impact on the environment. Third, ensuring building of a regional and sectoral resilience. Much of it is to do with scale. I mean, I was so happy to listen to Manish talk about the inhibition about scale, because scale of economy today destroys resilience. And it's time we call it out. You know. Fourth one is ensuring equity, which I told you about, the story that I mentioned. And lastly, re-establishing respectful engagement with each other and with nature. For me, these 5 are characteristics of a green economy, and we need to work on all of them. And that brings me to talk about the challenges of green economy. Like I said, in the first story that I mentioned, what I shared with you, traditionally in India, everybody does multi-skills. You go to a farm family, the farm family is not just doing farming. They do farming. They also do livestock. They also do something, if they're close to a forest, they'll collect something from the forest. They are doing 5, 6 different set of vocations. And each one has got a different set of skill. It is the educated, employment-based mindset which designs these curriculum that thinks people have to do only the same kind of job for 365 days a year. People do not. This is one of our biggest myths we need to break in our skill sector. Diversity of skill is important, just like we need diversity of vocations. I know people do multiple things. That is the way we are. I mean, again, going back to what Manish said, I mean, she said, I do various things because I am interested in various things. And she's not alone. All of us are like that. Most of us are like that. You know? And in India, for us, celebrating life is ahead of everything else. We are people of community. We are people of the land. We love celebrations. We love our tyohar, our festivals. And for us, all of these are important. Our communities are important. So if we take people away from this and large scale, big enterprises you create, then you are breaking something fundamental within the community. That is something that we need to recognize. And another thing I want to, I mean, coming to before I just go to the skill sector, one of the things that I want to talk about is in the green and entrepreneurship sector, one has to be very clear as to where is it one is positioning one's enterprise. Because on the one end, we all recognize today, at least in the age of Anthropocene and in the climate change world, the real problem of climate change is consumerism of the ultra rich. Let's not deny that, right? So if you are catering to the consumeristic culture, you are still not solving any big problem, right? You could be making reusable this and recyclable that and all that. Yeah, great. But then ultimately the real problem is the ultra rich and irresponsible consumption. So we could start from whichever end, but let's be very clear about where we are starting. We need to position ourselves very clearly, and we need to be aware of the amount of scaling in terms of intensity with which work needs to be done for us to become green as an entrepreneurship. Like I said, these 5 factors that I mentioned earlier, all these boxes need to be ticked for us to be able to do something significant. Sorry. The other challenge I find is, I mean, if we today were to look at the issues related to green skill sector, one, of course, our biggest obsession in this country is the techno-fixated mindset. Again, I think probably Manisha said, I mean, she took a lot of my ideas. I mean, she was articulating so many of them, I just didn't have to talk about them. But the most important thing is affordability as against technology. Any technology has to be affordable for us. you know and if we cannot make it affordable, then it's a white elephant project. So most of our technologies, unfortunately today, everybody, I mean, an app is a solution for just about everything today. Unfortunate, and it's getting worse by the day. So one of the challenges we need to recognize is between inclusivity and technology, efficiency. What do we choose? I'll give you an example. I used to work with a panchayat leader, and he had this soap making unit. And he said, I'm only making soap for the 5 villages around me. And we were setting up this soap making extrusion unit. And the extrusion machine is basically, it can be run with a motor. If it runs with a motor, it will extrude. It is basically the same soap will extrude, and you just need to create it into small blocks. And then he said, look, instead of a motor, what if I put a bullock cart wheel in it? I asked him why. And he said, I'm not going to mass produce. I'm only producing for the 5 villages. I put this wheel, then I can employ one person. This elderly woman in my village who does not have employment, I'll give her a dignified job because 3, 4 hours she has to sit and just keep rotating the wheel because it does not require a consistent torque there. This machine requires even variable torque, it will produce. It's basically extruding. So he said, I'll create one job here. Between efficiency and inclusivity, what do you choose? In a populous country in India, you choose inclusivity. That is very critical. Of course, there are critical areas where efficiencies are important. But much of our technology fixation is because we are driven so bad about efficiencies. We get internalized on this fact, and it is unnecessary. Many places it is unnecessary. Our job is to create jobs. Much of our thinking has to be how do we create more jobs? Okay, and challenges, of course, there are several of them. One, our academia is deeply unconnected with the reality of the unorganized sector. Like I said, in the case of the welders, it is an incremental, small skill that you need to provide. Small incremental skill that can make a big difference. Similarly, to recognize social factors that are impediments in running an enterprise in this country. This is not taught in any textbook. The caste problem I mentioned to you, unless you talk to a sociologist, nobody will tell you this. It is just that I happened to be there that day and I said, no, I'm not leaving unless you tell me why the problem is. And I sat there and said, come back, I'll teach you this. Let's do this together. That is required. And that sensitivity is something that our academics do not have today. So green steel sector, we created something called greeneconomyindia.in. It's a website that's available. Maybe I can share the screen. If some of you are interested, you can look into the screen. It's a website that we created. No, not this one. Maybe I just share this one. Where is it? Green Economy India. Yeah, so I will. So basically, what we are trying to do through this is to talk in terms of bring out various courses, short-term, long-term courses. I have offered certificate courses as part of a master's program, PG program in India and USA. In India, I offer it, call it a green economy program tied up with enterprises. When I teach in the US, I talk about the Indian system of green economy. Again, because this is something that we do not recognize. And I think, again, Manisha said it beautifully when she said during her presentation that by nature, many of the things in the Indian system, ethically, the way we do our enterprises are sustainable. Because we have this thing, that which sustains is dharma. I mean, we have this ethical parameter that goes back a long way. And so we have created many of these courses that are available. In fact, recently we launched a Pune chapter. That is how I ended up meeting some of our friends in Pune. And this website is available for any of you if you're looking at In fact, tomorrow I'm doing a online program with the Pune chapter, where I'm presenting the curriculum design for a semester-long program, which can go for undergraduation and post-graduation students. And it will be tied with local entrepreneurs, local people who can run this. I mean, my entire idea is not to make it centralized or anywhere. Just offer a platform in which everybody can do local things. But people do not have the bandwidth to create a platform of this kind. So make it available and provide all the curriculum material. We have videos, we have learning materials from multiple sources. We have pulled it together, put it all on the site. So when somebody registers, they have access to all the materials, etc. So some of our big challenges on the entrepreneurship side itself is finding funds, technology, and right scaling. I call it right scaling or optimum scaling rather than scaling up all the time. People have to reach, I mean, they have to, I mean, often my question with many of the entrepreneurs is, what is the scale of work that will make you feel comfortable? You have to be happy. We don't talk about happiness as an entrepreneurship quality. Unless people are at peace with themselves and are happy with themselves, there is no point in being an entrepreneur or any other profession for that matter. But we have, in the name of professionalizing, we have destroyed individual lives and families and peace within themselves. So recreating that is also recreating a green economy for me. So that is very critical. So other challenges, there are market understanding. There is a big gap. Like I said, with this community that was starting an enterprise, we had to just give them the marketing skills and then they could fly with it. At the policy level, there are several challenges. We created a community skills pool in Tamil Nadu, which is nearly 52,000 people were trained across the state. Over 6,000 community skill schools were held, where what we used was there is a Government of India provision which looks at recognizing prior learning for people who are already practitioners of a particular profession in a given area. We brought them, helped them with designing their curriculum and said, can you teach your own local kids? And we left the local governance institution, which is a community panchayat level federation of a women's group, etc., to select the students, to bring them to the local practitioner and train them. What we found amazing was initially when we did that, we were only looking at skill development, but they found jobs for themselves. Many of them grew with the training and they employed some of these youngsters. Second, they linked them to the markets. Third, they started becoming mentors. This is again another major, just like the second presentation that was shown, it is very critical that we bring in partnerships and mentorship to every single enterprise of this kind. It is not about being institutional in this. It is about tapping into the informal economy, tapping into the unorganized space. That is what will create a difference. And we have found it to be extremely impactful with the government. Like I said, over a period of about 5 years, we ended up creating large number of enterprises which are very local, working on local economies. I just finished with one small another story from a farmer's side. I work with a group of farmers who work on local economy, organic farmers who work on natural farming methods. And some time ago, when they were talking about how do we work on local economies, they started talking about what is the biggest indicator of large-scale economy. And then they arrived at this statement saying brand is the largest problem we have. Everybody keeps advising us to do branding, and we don't agree with them. So we did a dialogue with them, and earlier this year, we released a book called Unbranding. It's not against branding. It's not anti-brand. It is unbranding. How our mind does not think about necessarily evaluate everything based upon a brand, but rather on the value system that is there. Now the farmers have gone several steps ahead. And in fact, the next publication, I'm in a dialogue with them. They want to go to the level of talking about, can we create a space where multiplicity of expertises can be recognized. Because our traditional knowledge, unfortunately, I mean, we call it epistemic injustice, we call it by various names today. But ultimately, the challenge is we do not recognize that everybody is a knowledge holder. We are one of the largest knowledge economies in the world already in our unorganized sector. That is the Indian knowledge system we have. We do not, and it is a living system. It is a dynamic, living, learning system. It's not something that is dead somewhere, frozen in the past in some Vedic heritage nonsense. It's not that. It is continuously learning, continuously evolving, and creating something new. So, tapping into it and creating new forms of knowledge is the way forward, not just for India. I believe that some of the processes that we create, not necessarily products, we don't have to produce for the world, we don't have to produce for other countries, but the processes we create will be required in Africa, in South America, wherever there are communities like us. I have been invited to give talks in South America and many countries. And again, what I have found amazing is they are interested in what are the processes we adapt? How do we train? How do we make the change? How do we bring this change within the communities? This is what they are interested in. And I think more and more people, this is a time for us in India. At different points in time, different civilizations have risen up to deliver something that is relevant to the entire world. This is the Indian time because we have been always deep rooted in our understanding of sustainability and green ethos. I use the word green ethos consciously, not green skills or green businesses, because the ethics is a core of our understanding and how we live in this country. I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was quite a lot, and it was, but I think very eloquently spoken, and a lot of takeaways from just this half an hour of listening to you. I think I'm sure there must be. I mean, there are already a lot of words of praise coming through, but there may be a few questions. Maybe if anybody has, we can open the floor for questions, so that we can uh, see how to take more from what we have just heard. I think there was one question by Priyadarshan. Priyadarshan, do you want to talk about it? Do you want to speak?
Yeah, sure.
Go
So,
ahead.
affordability is one question we always encounter. And it quite rightly pointed out by Sir that it's the high consuming class which really needs to, the climate entrepreneurs need to offer solutions to them so that they end up consuming less. So, if we are going to offer a solution to the high money class, we should also be appropriately pricing our solutions. That was one question. And the second question was that when we work with people, uh, there is a huge gap of soft skilling. And we are really struggling to work on building a service culture in our teams. So whether Sir has given a thought to these kind of um, ideas of training in soft skills.
Yeah. Training soft skills, yes, very important. In fact, I keep asking these questions even to academics because that is where we need to start actually. I mean, I would say even start with purpose of working together. And unless you, I mean, we have done it in various ways. I can talk about the modalities of it. What are the ways in which we bring it? We have an entire set of activities. In fact, we don't teach them directly. We break it down into exercises that they do. We call them lateral activities. We bring whole lot of lateral activities. We learn from mindfulness exercises and very many other techniques that we have brought in. In fact, just to share something very interesting with you, uh, uh, with the government officials, when they come to learn about sustainability, we start the session with clowning.
Hmm.
You know what clowning is, right? A clown
No.
is somebody who wears a nose in
Okay.
circus and
Mhm.
does makes you laugh. So our institute, when the government officials walk in, you know how government officials walk into any institute for training, right? They're stiff. They know everything, and why do they have to come for training to some institute? And so that's how they turn up. So what we do is we welcome them with two clowns. But these are not ordinary clowns. They are medical clowns. They're trained in therapy, using therapy, this thing for therapy purposes. So what they do is they invite these people, and over the next 45 minutes, they do clowning. Along with these clowns, they end up learning how to do clowning. And that clowning helps break down the barrier, and it makes it very the entire thing of I am a government officer breaks down. At the end of it, they are like a 5-year-old ready to learn anything. And that is where we want them. I mean, that's where we can talk about, because when a cup is full, what can you pour into it? The cup has to be empty. You need to empty the cup. That's what we do with clowning. We do a lot of physical activity. I make people work in the field with me. We plant with them. We do weeding. We do a whole lot of work in the field. We do make them cycle sometimes. You will be surprised, how many things can be learned by just cycling and talking to people. So soft skills are important, but doing things as, because much of our mainstream education reiterates not working as community but as individuals. It does not. It kind of has started celebrating individual successes more than community successes. And you cannot do a green enterprise or talk about equity if you do not work as a team. You need to bring it back. You need to bring back the Samaj. For that to be brought back, you need to create some of these exercises. We have done a whole lot of them. And to go back to your first question about costing, yeah, if people are willing to pay a large sum of money for a particular service or particular product, go ahead. But never kid yourself that this is, I mean, one of the things that I tell many of my friends who are into production of different products is, do you have a uh, uh, time when you change what you do? Do you have a time when you will shift or change your business? Because again, I learned from traditional communities in India. Traditional communities don't do the same occupation for their entire life. They might be doing something. I mean, like I once remember a young man asked a farmer. The farmer has been doing farming for 40 years. And he said, how many types of farming do you do? The farmer thought about it and said, at least 2 seasons every year. So I know 80 types of farming. Because every season you do is a different challenge, it's a different method, it's a different thing that you do. So, yes, be very clear as to what you want to do, how you want to work on, and till when this is relevant to do. At some point, if it is irrelevant in the market, change, do something else that the market is relevant for. Because as long as your value system is clear, you will not get fixated to the product or service. It is the values and the ethics that are important, not the product or service that you provide. And this is for me very, very critical. And that is very traditional in India. Nobody sticks to just doing only one thing. That is very critical for us. Somebody asked about scale. Is there a question on scale? If you permit me, I just want to show maybe just this one particular. If I can fish it out, I will. See. I can probably do it tomorrow. If any of you are interested, you can join me. There is a presentation I'm doing, much larger presentation. But yeah, okay, this I found. Just sir, if you don't mind, can I just take a minute here?
Sure, please go
Because
ahead.
on the scale front, there were a question. I had a short, mm, yeah. I mentioned this economy of scale destroys resilience. This is a very complicated but a detailed one about it. But someday I hope I can share this fully, talk about this. How does economy of scale destroy resilience? Because both regional and sectoral resilience are important for us today. And resilience building, we cannot be stuck on economy of scale. This is a dead mindset. It's a old mindset, and it only reinforces and justifies few people profiting at the cost of everybody else. And we cannot be a party to that when you're talking about circularity or a green economy. So this is just a very brief, I don't want to get into the details, but I just want to share that whatever I'm saying, there is a lot of thought that has gone in. We have put together many modules of curriculum around this. And if there is any opportunity, I would like to definitely share. I also share the thing for tomorrow on the chat box. The presentation that I'm doing tomorrow, I just share it in the chat box so
Yeah.
that people are aware
Thank
of
you.
it.
Yeah, I think that's
So it
good.
will be a 2 hour long thing tomorrow. I'll share the curriculum that we put together. And any colleges are interested, I'm happy to share it with them. The whole idea is create more entrepreneurs who are local, who are working on like I said, the green ethos as a base, which is very deeply Indian for me. Okay.
I wish
Yeah. Any other?
I wish we didn't have it. This is overlapping with the fourth day, but I wish we were able to join. But anyway, I hope that there'll be another one we can join. Sudhata, I think you got your answer. You had asked about tomorrow's this thing.
Yes, yes,
So I know. Please go ahead. You wanted to say
yes.
something?
Thank you, thank you. No, no, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really very inspiring.
Indeed, indeed. I really wish if it were that simple, I would have just postponed tomorrow's Stars Forum thing to Monday and got to attend this. But it's okay. I mean, we will be able to catch up sometime. I know we've overshot, but I think the fact that so many of you have stayed back, listened, interacted. Thank you so much. I mean, I can't thank you enough, Mr. Ramasubramanian, for this very inspiring conversation and the points that you shared with all of us. I think there is probably scope to have a more deeper interaction and understanding of what this is. I think looking at the subject itself, it seems to me that we have just literally scratched the surface in a way. There's so much more to go deeper into. There's so many more people to bring into the fold, to learn from and find ways to sort of strengthen what each one of us is doing. So a lot of thanks to you for taking time. Thankfully, I hope this hasn't worsened your throat, and you should be able to get back soon. For you have a 2 hour talk tomorrow coming up, so I hope you'll be better by then. But thanks once again. Thank you everyone for staying and being part of today. Tomorrow we also have another three very interesting, uh, rather different but very well connected this thing. So I'll just give a 30-second introduction of what's happening tomorrow, and then we can wrap up today. The first speaker tomorrow is Maya D'Souza. Uh, when we were talking about doing this conference on circular bioeconomy, one of the things that I went around was looking who's doing what in this. And one of the things that I stumbled across was last year a group of people had written a white paper on the circular bioeconomy with a special focus on the global south. Uh, I mean, it was the first time I was reading through something, so it took a while to understand and absorb everything. But there was a lot of research that had gone into putting that thing together. And I was very keen to see if we can get the authors to come on board. Unfortunately, the authors had moved on from the organization, but finally we managed to uh, know, uh, reach out to one of the key persons who had written and done the research, which is Maya D'Souza. She's going to be speaking about some of the key takeaways that they got from doing this research in the circular bioeconomy. But also, there's an interesting role that she's playing they've set up a incubation center in Goa called Materia Verde, and I think it'll be very interesting to understand. Materia Verde actually seems to mean green materials or materials from nature. Some of the science that is going behind materials and so on. So I think that'll be a very interesting talk to begin with tomorrow. The second is another entrepreneur from Jalgaon in Maharashtra, a small entrepreneur who's developed a range of agri equipment, solving the needs of farmers, small farmers, and he has developed a low-cost biochar making machine. And I thought it'll be a wonderful time, wonderful opportunity for us to bring a rural entrepreneur who's working in this space and understand from him what has his journey been like. So Govinda is his name, Govinda Hari Sonawane. He's our second speaker for tomorrow. And the third speaker is from Aurangabad, which is now called Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, one of the very old or early movers in the organic farming space. And he comes from that family, and he has been, this is Joy Daniel, some of you might know him, and he's been working on this concept of the circular village economy. I know that this is the bioeconomy, but there is something around circular village economy that he has been working on. And I felt it would be very interesting to understand what is he trying to do from that point of view. They've been working in a very challenging geography of Maharashtra, Marathwada, which along with Vidarbha has seen a lot of degradation of agricultural productivity. Unfortunately, still is a place where a lot of farmers are taking their own lives and so on. But it'll be good to see what are they trying to work on. So three very different topics tomorrow. The white paper on the global south and circular bioeconomy, a rural innovator developing low cost biochar machine, and then understanding the circular village rural economy and how that is probably going to contribute to circularity as a whole. So that's for tomorrow, and I hope to see you all again tomorrow. And thank you so much for all of the time that you have spent today. All the speakers, thank you so much, Manisha. Thank you, Mahesh, Dr. Bichkar. So much valuable information that we learned. And what a wonderful way to wrap up with Mr. Ramasubramanian sharing his insights and his views on what is going on today. And for all the people who have interacted with the speakers today, thank you. This is what we always want. So, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you and good night.